Before I tell you about Sabriin's story, I want you to imagine something. Imagine a young girl alone in a house that never truly felt like home. Imagine nights that felt longer than they should. Imagine silence, the kind of silence that is not peaceful but heavy, like it's hiding something. Imagine a child whose eyes once held hope, slowly losing their shine because the world around her stopped being kind. And now imagine this, days passing where no one checked on her, people nearby going on with life, not knowing a child was suffering behind closed doors, a community unaware that someone's life was slipping away in the shadows. Sabriin did not die suddenly. Her story is one of pain that grew quietly, unnoticed, and hurt. And by the time the world discovered what she had been going through, it was too late. Today, we're not here to describe what was done to her. We're here to honor what was taken from her safety, her innocence, her future, her voice. And that's why I'm telling this story. Sometimes we come across stories that stay with us, not because they are trending, but because they demand something from us. Attention, empathy, maybe even responsibility. And Sabriin's story is one of those. Sabriin was an orphan, and for many people, that word alone reveals a lot. It tells she grew up depending on others. It tells us she lived without the extra layer of protection other children enjoy. And it tells us she needed stability, care, and kindness more than most. But life didn't give her much of that. Her story began spreading online recently from posts, discussions, and community voices who felt deeply shaken by what happened to her. People did not just mourn her loss, they questioned how a young girl, especially an orphan, could suffer without anyone stepping in earlier. And when you look at the bigger picture, that question becomes even heavier. Authorities investigating her case mentioned individuals who were supposed to protect her, people she relied on, and yet those the same people were accused of harming her. It's the kind of tragedy that forces a community to pause and ask itself, where were we? Could this have been prevented? Stories like Sabriin's rarely start with a single moment. These situations often grow slowly in silence. A child appears scared, a neighbor hears arguments, someone notices she's becoming quieter, more withdrawn, and little by little, danger creeps in. People who knew her say she was gentle, quiet, and hopeful, the kind of child who still believed that life could get better. She had dreams, she had emotions, she had a personality, and that is what hurts the most. She was not just a case or a news headline. She was a real person. When her story broke online, the reaction was powerful. Communities in Somalia and abroad were outraged. Protests were held in Galkayo. Voices rose demanding justice. People felt connected to her story because it reflects something bigger, the struggle of vulnerable children everywhere who depend on adults to protect them. And that's why her story matters. Across many cultures, orphans are seen as a trust from society, a responsibility. When a community fails someone like Sabriin, it forces everyone to reflect honestly. What system failed her? What responsibilities were ignored? What can we do better next time? Authorities have named suspects, investigations are ongoing, and people are still demanding accountability. And while nothing can bring her back, justice, real justice, can help ensure this does not happen again. But here is something important. The purpose of telling Sabriin's story is not just to point fingers. It is to learn, to awaken, to start paying closer attention. Her story reminds us that harm often happens quietly. It hides in silence, in fear, in closed doors. But healing and change begins the moment people raise their voices. So today, we remember Sabriin. Actually, we should not only feel sadness when we remember Sabriin. We should feel purpose. We should feel the responsibility to look out for children around us, to speak up when something feels wrong, to check on those who seem vulnerable, to demand systems that protect, not fail. Every child deserves safety. Every child deserves kindness. Every child deserves a chance to dream and grow. And even though Sabriin's life ended far too soon, her story is now a voice calling for justice, for awareness, and for change. She may be gone, but her memory will continue to push us to do better, for her and for every child who needs protection.